After my video on Mipha's theme from Breath of the Wild, I had a ton of people asking me to cover the other champion themes from the game. And now, almost a year later, I'm coming out with another one. I'm nothing if not prompt. Revali, the champion of the Rito tribe in the game, has a gorgeous theme that shares the same template as Mipha's theme. We have a heartfelt 8-bar melody, a colorful bridge, and then a restatement of the theme to finish. Revali's theme is a lot less bittersweet than Mipha's, and rather than carrying an implicit message about Mipha's relationship to our hero Link, the different elements of Revali's theme seem to point to how deeply he cares about the Rito people. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The piece starts out subdued with an accordion on the melody and lightly strummed guitar chords underneath. The melody is really simple in structure and note choice, contributing to the gentle, folksy atmosphere established by the instrumentation. You can imagine this piece being played around a campfire in the middle of a town festival. In the key of A-flat major, we start with the third and then walk down to the root in this vaguely Celtic rhythm. This leads into a leap down from the second to the fifth of the key in the second bar to complete the statement. It's textbook. We could not have a clearer outline of our tonic A-flat major chord in the first bar, or a more straightforward movement to outline our dominant chord E-flat in the second bar. Writing a melody that outlines these kinds of basic movements between the 1 and 5 chords is the easiest way to create a sense of motion, or of telling a story, and it's the kind of thing that separates what feels like a real melody from just noodling around. The answering statement takes the exact same rhythm from the first 2 bars and flips everything else around. We start a third below our tonic A-flat and walk up to it this time, and then the next bar features a leap up from E-flat to end on a C note. This time the melody is outlining the 4 chord, D-flat, and then returning to an A-flat major sound to close off the phrase. This makes the phrase sound like a complete thought. We start and end on our tonic A-flat chord, which brings us full circle, and have a convincing detour to the 5 and 4 chords in between. Keeping the same rhythm between the 2 halves of the phrase connect the 2 ideas, giving it a satisfying setup punchline kind of structure. The guitar chords that accompany us could easily just have followed the progression implied by the melody, A-flat to E-flat to D-flat to A-flat. But there are a couple of twists thrown in that give the phrase a nice color. Rather than E-flat, the second bar is harmonized with a C minor 7 chord, an E-flat with a C in the bass. This is a really nice choice, a tinge of melancholic color, but still maintaining the softness and intimacy of the arrangement. The following D-flat bar does move to D-flat, but then moves to a D-flat over E-flat chord next. A nice, colorful 5 chord to make the movement to A-flat in the following bar feel that much more satisfying. And then a C7 chord jumps in to take us somewhere new. For the next phrase, we jump to the relative minor key of F minor and further develop the ideas presented in the opening melody. The vaguely Celtic skip down from the third to the root of our first A-flat chord, the only rhythmically identifiable part of the opening melody, is taken and used in back-to-back bars to outline both our F minor chord and the following D-flat major chord, quickening the pace of the melody from 2-bar statements to 1-bar statements as we start building to a climax. The phrase ends with a gentle floating down the scale to land on an F note, solidifying our shift to the key of F minor. Harmonically, this phrase makes an excellent foil to the first. Our A-flat major phrase started on A-flat, right where you'd expect, and then walks up from C minor to D-flat to E-flat 7 sus, before depositing us back on our A-flat chord. The chords walk up and then drop back down. This C7 chord pivots us to the key of F minor, and then we once again start on the tonic of the key, F minor. But this time the chords move steadily downward. F minor to C minor over E flat to D flat to A flat over C to B flat minor 7. The last C minor 7 to F minor breaks the downward motion to bring us to a satisfying resolution at the end. As the melody is building to a head with the quickening pace of the line, the chords begin spreading out into fuller and fuller voicings. These F minor and C minor over E flat chords are closed voicings, all of the notes tightly packed in within one octave, but the following D flat and A flat over C chords break out into larger and larger spreads between the outer notes. We only have 2 instruments working here, but we can still play with the width and fullness and texture of the music to create a dramatic crescendo. This is super tasteful and intelligent writing. This F minor resolution holds for an extra bar for dramatic effect, and then a larger ensemble comes in for the bridge. The guitar switches from simple rolled chords to gentle 8th note fingerstyle accompaniment. The strings come in with these beautiful lush chord pads, alternating between 2 notes in a 16th note rhythm to supply a little movement and texture, and the melody is presented with this graceful high oboe part. The super lush texture of the added orchestration and the colorful chord progressions stand out, coming right after the more simple and subdued opening melody. This bridge by itself is beautiful, but thanks to the setup of the opening lines, it feels otherworldly. Stepping up to a G-flat major 7 chord here breaks us out of our old key, promising a winding journey to get us somewhere new, and we do go somewhere new. This is a classic J-pop progression starting on the 4 chord and winding around the circle of fifths to get to the 1 chord, which is now D-flat major. Only instead of the typical 3, 6, 2, 5 that brings us from the 4 chord to the 1 chord, the final 2-5 is subbed out for major 7 chords a tritone away from where they should be. Instead of E-flat minor 7 to A-flat 7, which resolves very nicely to D-flat major 7, we instead get an A major 7 to D major 7 that drops down a half step to land on our target D-flat major. This semitone sliding feels like a twistier detour to get to our destination than the classic 3-6-2-5-1. All of these twists and turns serve to make us question the harmony. We don't know if we can trust what key we're in, and it makes the listener more open to exotic harmonic motion. Preparing the listener is important. If we just threw some random tritone substitutions into a basic 3-chord country song, it probably wouldn't be very effective. After we've been dropped off at the D-flat major 7 chord and primed to wonder where the heck we're going to next, the music dies down and we get this brilliant piano solo detour. These glassy rolled piano chords come in, B sus2 to B flat minor 7 to A6 to E flat over G, all in big open spread voicings. The sound of these stacked open fifths on the piano is very evocative of Studio Ghibli scores, particularly the opening to Joe Hisaishi's brilliant One Summer's Day from Spirited Away. Now, this figure is actually taken directly from the intro to the Rito Village theme. Same chords and melody and everything. The Village theme features clarinet and guitar rather than just piano, so it has a fuller, less delicate sound than Revali's theme's bridge, but it still sounds absolutely gorgeous. You'll recognize a lot of the instrumental textures that come in here too. The lush strings that fill out each bar by alternating 2 notes, and the rolling acoustic guitar accompaniment are ripped straight out of the Rito Village theme to put into Revali's theme. also notice that this oboe melody that we saw before is a rhythmic reshuffling of the same Rito Village intro. The piano breakdown plays this intro figure directly, so it's more obvious, but the oboe phrase we just heard uses the exact same interval structure, just with a different rhythm and in a different key. These references to the Rito Village theme give the sense that Revali cares deeply about his home village. In almost all of his appearances in the game, Revali comes across as kind of a smug asshole, but his pride and self-assurance come from a desire to protect his tribe. The music betrays the snide exterior of Revali's character and shows that deep down, it's a love for and duty to his people that drive him. From this quietest, most fragile place, the music swells into its most dramatic. Strings and low piano creep in and build into a large, sweeping, romantic statement of the original melody. The theme is played by the whole string section in octaves for a huge sound, and the piano leaps around with big, full chords, moving up the full range of the instrument, bringing the music to its emotional climax. This huge, sweeping melody shrinks down to a whisper for the answering F minor phrase, settling into a subdued texture with accordion and glockenspiel on the melody and tiny piano chords tucked underneath. With one last dramatic pause, the piece winds to a close. The final resolution to F minor that closed off the melody the first time around is extended, replacing that last chord with a walk up from D flat to D flat over E flat to F sus, a classic sus4 that resolves to a Picardy third, a surprise F major chord for a delicate, uplifting finish. In spite of his hubris, Revali really is a good guy after all. The structure of melody, then bridge, then melody is like a miniature sonata form. We get a statement of the main theme, a development of old ideas that takes us through some different keys, and then a return to the original melody, which brings the piece to a close. It's short, but being 33 bars long rather than 300 doesn't make the structure any less effective. And it makes it even more impressive how the piece can take us on such an emotional journey in such a short amount of time. Thanks for checking out the video. You can find my transcription of the full score arrangement of this theme on my Patreon, and let me know if you'd like to see videos on the other Champions themes in the comments. I'll see you all in the next one.